What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to be going over my top 20 offensive tackles for the 2026 NFL Draft. Now, early on in my scouting, I haven't done every position group just yet. I think the offensive tackle position looks to be the most loaded position group in the entire draft class, and that's why we're going to do 20. Typically we're doing 10 to 15, but I think there are so many really talented players that deserve getting talked about in this class. If you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Comment down below who you think should have made my top 20. I'll have a few honorable mentions at the very end of this. Let me know which players you think I'm too high on and which players you think I'm too low on. Would love to interact with you guys down in the comment section below. But guys, I don't want to waste another second. Let's go ahead and kick this off, starting off with my number 20 offensive tackle, and that is going to be Notre Dame's Emil Wagner. Wagner's a really interesting player. He's got some really interesting tools. I just worry about his size, which we'll get to that. But he's 6'6", 293 pounds. I love the athleticism. I thought his footwork, he had quick feet, he exploded into his stance. His hands were really good. And if you guys follow the channel, you know that that is probably the number one trait. That and anchor are the two things that I value the most with offensive tackles. And Wagner did a really good job of countering pass rush moves. I thought on the move, as a run blocker, he was really good. They used him as a puller. He could climb to the second level. I thought he had solid athleticism overall. However, there were some areas that I thought that he could improve. For one, he's sub 300 pounds, and it's really hard for me to buy into an offensive tackle unless you're an absolute superstar. If you're below 300 pounds, it's just really hard for me to buy into. I thought his anchor was very inconsistent. I thought he got beat by the bull rush very often, and it's why I think he needs to bulk up a little bit. If he gets to around 305, somewhere in that range, I think that could help him. If he just has a little bit more lower body strength to anchor, I think that could do wonders for Emil Wagner's game. I also felt like there were times where he would overset on his outside shoulder, and it led to him getting beat outside to more quicker speed rushers. He's got some really good traits. He's got the tools and the athleticism that you're looking for in a starting tackle, but I'd like to see him bulk up. I'd like to see him be a little bit more refined with his footwork, particularly against speed. And if he can do that, I definitely think this could be a top 100 player. I've got an early day 3 grade on Emil Wagner as of right now. At number 19, I think it's going to be a very controversial one for a lot of people, but that is where I am going to have Iowa's tackle, Jennings Dunker. I'll just come out and say it, probably the most disappointing player that I watched given the expectations going into it. There are a lot of people saying Dunker could be a borderline first-round pick, and I just really don't see that anywhere on his tape, and I think he's got a lot of room to grow. He's 6'5", 316 pounds, had a 90.2 offensive grade per PFF. I think if you are running an outside zone system and you want a run blocker, outside of maybe 3 other players in this class, I think Jennings Dunker might be the best overall run blocker in the class. Incredibly explosive, a really good athlete in space. He can play outside zone as a puller, climbing to the second level. He is just super explosive, super athletic, and you love to see that. He also plays with some nastiness in his game. He wants to drive you into the ground. He wants to hit. Those are the types of traits that I look for and we've come to expect with Iowa offensive linemen. It's very similar to previous Hawkeye linemen, but I think when it comes to his pass protection, there were a lot of areas that I was really underwhelmed by. He was constantly off balance. He lunged a little bit. He just felt like he was constantly leaning forward, and he ended up on the ground way more often than you wanted to see. I also thought, very similarly to Wagner, his anchor was pretty underwhelming to me. I thought that he got bullied a little bit too often, too frequently to the bull rush, and he is just very inconsistent at landing that outside hand. This is a guy that I think might kick inside the guard at the next level because he's really good at pass protection. He gets beat to his outside. I think if you kick him inside the guard, this could be a top 75 player in the class. At tackle, though, which is where he is going to play this year, where he's listed, I just don't really see the vision. But I love the athleticism, and like I said, you could argue he's one of the best run blockers in the entire class. So I've got Jennings Dunker at number 19. At number 18, I've got PJ Williams from SMU. One of the last guys that I watched for this exercise, and I was really impressed with PJ Williams. I do think another player, he's 6'5", 317 pounds. He's going to need to bulk up a little bit more, I think. I definitely felt like he was a little bit light in the pants, but as a all-around athlete and pass protector, I think there are some tools that are really exciting with him. He just is a really good run blocker, I felt like. I thought he did a really good job, particularly in the Clemson game, of just shielding off defenders, like not overexposing himself, but holding the block really well. I absolutely love that. He's got the athleticism to climb up the second level. I really love that about his game. And I thought he moved his feet well in the passing game. His anchor is not the best in the world. It's just not. He does get beat from time to time to power, but he does a really good job of sticking with his defenders, moving his feet, and I liked to see that from him. Another player that I thought had really good counters. He played really well against TJ Parker and Peter Woods. Like, he had some really high-end reps against some of the best players in this class. And on top of that, I love the positional versatility. This is a guy that has played right tackle. He's kicked inside and played guard. He's done some left tackle. You love that positional versatility with offensive linemen, and I think PJ Williams brings that. You do want to see him get a little bit more refined. We mentioned there are times where he gets beat to power rushers. I think he's going to need to bulk up very similarly to Emil Wagner. Just be a little bit stronger in your lower half. I think that could do wonders for him. But I think the area that's the most concerning with him, 12 penalties in 2024. When he started to lose his step, he got really grabby. He wanted to try and save himself from getting beat by holding. 12 penalties last year. You want to see that get better, but as an athlete and as a guy that I think can play in a bunch of different schemes, you can move him all over the line. I think he's a real sleeper for this class. I've got a 3rd to a 4th round grade on PJ Williams, but I do really like what I saw from him on his tape. At number, I guess we're at 16 now, 17. I've got I'm going to butcher this name, but bear with me. Famoa. We're going to just go with that one. But I really liked him last year. A transfer from Washington State. He's following head coach Jake Dickert over to Wake Forest. He did not grade out very well last year, a 58.2 offensive grade. But this is why I always say PFF grades are a great tool to use, but they aren't the end-all be-all, because I thought his tape showed a different story. Famoa is a really, really good athlete. He reminds me a little bit of like a light version of Talise Fuaga, because he is a great athlete with a ton of power in his game. He blocks a ton of power in the run game. Great at getting to the second level and being a lead blocker in wide zone. I liked his anchor. I thought his hand placement was good. I thought he showed some really, really good traits in both the run game and the pass game. The pad level is a concern for me. Because he plays with high pads, he is lunging far too frequently, and I want to see him get better. Play lower to the ground, generate some of that explosiveness and power that he does have from his lower body. I think he's got upside. I really do. I think, though, his IQ's got to get better. And the run game, he just felt completely lost at times. He didn't know which assignment he was supposed to be picking up. He didn't pick up the blitzes very well, really at all. There were games where, I think the New Mexico game, they were bringing blitzes to I believe he played right side. I could be wrong on that. But they were bringing blitzes to his side of the line of scrimmage, and he just didn't have any answers for it. He just did not counter blitzes, did not recognize where the blitz was coming from. That's going to have to get better, because that's going to get you played off the field at the next level. You got to call it out. He just didn't see it very well. I love the athletic traits. I think this is a really interesting player that isn't getting discussed enough. There's a world where he is a lot lower than this come the offseason, because as I mentioned, there's a really deep tackle class, but I am willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I loved what I saw in 23. I liked what I saw in 2024. So I've got Famoa coming in at number 17 on my list. I really like this player. At number 16, Andrew Gentry from BYU, a player that wasn't on my radar until pretty late. He is a really interesting one. Now, the next 3 guys or so, the next 3 guys are projections. These are guys that I think are going to get up to that level, but I just don't fully see it now. Andrew Gentry just wasn't given an opportunity. He has been at Michigan since 2022, and he's only played 195 snaps in 3 years. So he only started 2 games, and he only played like 13 snaps in the second game. So I really am only going off of 1 game from Andrew Gentry, where he played against Michigan, who have some NFL talent along that defensive line. And there were just some traits and tools that I saw with Gentry that really intrigued me. For one, I think his grip strength is phenomenal. When he gets his hands on the outside shoulders of defenders, the rep was seemingly over because he is so strong in his lower half to just anchor really, really well. This guy held up very well at the point of attack. I was thoroughly impressed by that. His feet are really fluid. He just holds his ground really well and does not get beat very often. I love that. I also think he brings some athleticism to the table. He is a good run blocker. He could get up into the second level and land some impact blocks. I thought he was really good. Obviously, yes, this is a projection because we need to see it a little bit more. He transferred to BYU. He is projected to be their starter. I'd like to see him be more consistent with his hand strikes. There were times where he tried to impact the defender and he just kind of missed and mistimed it. If he can improve that, I think Gentry is a real sleeper, an early my guy in this class. I've got him at number 16. I like this player quite a bit, and I think he's got some real upside. At number 15, we've got Charles Jagus out of Notre Dame. And full transparency, if I knew this guy was going to be healthy going into the year, Jagus would probably be a top 6 offensive tackle for me in the class. Unfortunately, I believe he broke his arm in a ATV accident, so he's going to miss a good portion of next season. Very similarly to Andrew Gentry, this is just a guy we have not seen play very much. He's had 2 pretty big injuries in his college career. He has started in just 1 game, and it was the national championship against Ohio State. But that game against, that Ohio State defensive line had multiple NFL players on that team. He was really good in that game, particularly against JT Tuimoloau, which as a Colts fan makes me even more concerned on how he's going to look against NFL talent. But you could go back to my 2025 draft takes on that one. He's a freak. He's 6'7", 320 pounds. His hand fighting is phenomenal. He just did a really, really good job of constantly keeping his hands moving. He just countered pass rush moves so well. His mirroring is just top tier. I think he was one of the most technically sound pass protectors in the class, and his footwork is really, really good. I loved that. I thought he moved his feet well. I thought he used his hands well. He's got the size. He's got the athletic ability, but you just have to see more. There were times similarly to Gentry where he mistimed his hand strikes, got a little grabby at times. I could definitely see there being a world where he would get penalized a lot more than you'd like to see. But if we're talking about traits and we're talking about a projection, Jagus has the upside of being a number 1 starting franchise tackle at the next level. Let's see if he can get on the field. Let's see how he looks when he's on the field. He might not even come out of next year's draft. If I had to bet as of today, he probably won't, just given the injuries. But I'm a big fan of this guy, and I really liked what I saw. And hopefully he can get back on the field and show us a little bit more. But I've got Jagus at number 15. At number 14, I've got Trevor Guzby, another projection, but a guy that I'm willing to bet is going to end up being a top 50 draft pick as of right now. I was really impressed by what we saw from Guzby. Another guy that the big question mark is, can he do it more consistently? Limited starting experience. He started in the playoffs, played against Georgia in the conference championship game, played against Arizona State. He just is so explosive. 6'7", 315 pounds. I love his frame, and I love how he just explodes into his stance. He gets his hands up. He's got really good feet, and I thought he utilized his hands really well. He does have great hand placement. I love the versatility. He's played both sides of the offensive line. I want to say they've utilized him inside at guard. he's just a really good athlete. He's an athlete that has good anchor. He has some really nice hands in pass protection. Texas has done a really good job of producing NFL caliber offensive linemen. I think Guzby is going to end up being one of those guys. He's got to be more consistent as a run blocker. A lot of whiffs in that area, just struggle to connect up at the second level. But I do think the traits are there for him. I'd also like to see his ability against power get a little bit better. Felt like he overset too often, and he got beat by the bull rush a little bit more often than you would like to see. But Kelvin Banks is gone. This is Trevor Guzby's position now. He is going to step into that left tackle spot. He's got big shoes to fill, but if he can do that, I do think there's a guy that could be in first-round conversations because the traits are all there. The athleticism is there. And from what we saw, it was overall really, really solid. So I've got Guzby at number 14. I'm a big fan of him, and I'm projecting a big season from him at Texas. At number 13, I've got Austin Barber out of Florida. Now, hand up on this one. Austin Barber was a player that I had watched for 2024. I thought there was a chance he might come out last year. I thought Austin Barber, going into this exercise, based on my tape watch last year, was one of the worst offensive linemen in last year's class. I had an undrafted grade on him, but I went into this exercise, seeing him pop up in top 10s. I'm like, all right, let me lock in. Let me see what I was missing. And Austin Barber is so much better than I remembered him being. And I've got him at number 13 here. I have a third-round grade on him. He was just really impressive for Florida. He's 6'6", 316 pounds. Another one of these guys that has great athleticism, but is one of the strongest pass protectors in the class. Not only does he bring real pop with his hands, and I loved what he showed in terms of his ability to counter pass rushers. He's just, with different swipes, he just was constantly able to evade pass rushers. I loved that. He also just brings some real run blocking potential. He could be a strong blocker. I liked what he did as a puller when they would bring him across the line of scrimmage, and he hits with some real power. This is a guy that he wants to make you feel his blocks, and you did. He's definitely showed some upside. I think he definitely improved as a run blocker because I thought last year he just looked lost at times. I think he could get a little bit more consistent at landing his strikes because there were times where he would go for the kill shot, if you will, and would just completely whiff. I do think another thing he could get better at, he gets beat to quickness a little bit more. But I think the big area that I can handle him getting beat to quickness a little bit often. I can handle some missed assignments in the run game. It happens. You've got to hold blocks better than Austin Barber did, and that's what held him out of the top 10. He disengaged so early sometimes where he would hold off the defender, and it was a textbook rep, and then he thought the rep was over, and it wasn't. He has to hold at the point of attack. Not hold, but you get what I'm saying, where he's just got to maintain his block a little bit better. If he can do that, I think there's a top 10 talent in this offensive line class, but it was far too frequently, and I've got Barber at number 13 as a result. I like the traits, just want to see a little bit more consistency. At number 12, I've got Howard Samson from Texas Tech. You could put him in that same tier with some of the guys that we're projecting. On paper, he didn't have the most amazing season in the world, but he's just one of the guys that I tend to gravitate towards. I gravitate towards these big, freak offensive linemen, and Howard Samson fits that bill. He's 6'8", 340 pounds, freakish size, freakish length, but I also thought that he moved his feet really well. He is a really strong offensive lineman. He's quick off the ball. He's got some nastiness in his game. Brings some really good upside as a run blocker. I thought that was an area that I was pretty impressed by. For a guy that is 340 pounds, he moves very fluidly. He has good quick feet. He's got the ability to make some nice plays in the run game. It's as a pass protector where overall I thought Samson just kind of disappointed me a little bit. His anchor for a guy that's 340 pounds was not there. He really struggled against power rushers. I thought he overset in pass protection. His feet would just stop moving, and he would get beat to quickness and he just struggled to reset. And a guy that played off balance way too much. He was constantly, lunging and then ending up on the ground. I've got him at 12 because I think the explosiveness and the size and length are NFL caliber. I also think he's a great run blocker. You have to see a little bit more in pass protection, but I definitely think there is a world where Howard Samson is another one of these guys that is being discussed as a potential first-round pick. I've got Howard Samson at number 12. At number 11 on my list, that's where I'm going to have Ethan Onian out of Ohio State. I love this player. I think he is a incredible talent that is kind of going under the radar because he's a Rice transfer to Ohio State. Now, that does kind of go into why I have him at 11. He is coming from a lower level of competition, if you will. Now the brightest lights are going to be on you at Ohio State, one of the premier programs in college football, but I think he is the type of transfer that can come in and make an immediate impact. A 4-year starter for Rice, a guy that has incredible size at 6'6", 357. He has played on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and I think he's one of the best pure pass protectors in the entire draft class. Incredible anchor, incredible hands, the ability to counter. He has really good feet. I think he has everything you look for from a pass protection standpoint that have me bought in on what he can be at the next level. I just thought he had to get better as a run blocker. So many times he would just whiff in the second level. He struggled to connect in the run game, and I think that is a big issue. He's just not a great athlete is what it comes down to. He's very lumbering, very kind of heavy on his feet in the run game. So that's why I have him at 11 and just outside the top 10. But if we want to talk about one of the best pure pass protectors in the class and a guy that I think the ceiling's really high with, I think it's Onian. I'm a big fan of him. I've got him at number 11. Inside my top 10, I think this is going to be controversial to some people, but I've got Drew Shelton at number 10. I don't know why he's not getting more discussion. I think he's a really impressive player. I get it. He had some bad moments. He's a little bit undersized. He had a 57.4 offensive grade last year. But I just really thought this guy had what you wanted. The athleticism was there. He's really good in the run game where he can get to the second level. He can be utilized as a puller. Not only that, in the run game, he hits with real power. He is physical. He has good hand counters as a pass protector. The anchor overall, I think, is pretty good. There's a lot there that you really like. Now, there are some inconsistencies, and I think the length is the one that I am the most concerned about. I think his length definitely holds him back, and I don't know. Obviously, we don't have official measurements for them yet, but I would bet that they're like 33 inches or somewhere around there, right at the cutoff, because I think his arms, as a result, it allows him or causes him to struggle to land some of his outside strikes. He oversets, thinks he's got the angle, he doesn't, and then he gets beat to his outside shoulder, to quickness, and he allowed more pressures than you want to see. I think a lot of that does come down to his length, and I do think that that is something that could potentially be a problem for him at the next level. But if you want to talk about an athlete, a guy with the ability to impact the run and the pass game, I think Drew Shelton is that player. Penn State always produces NFL caliber offensive linemen. I think Shelton is one. I'm a big fan of him. Don't really understand why he's not getting the respect that I think he should be, but I have him at number 10. At number 9 on my rankings, I've got Cage Casey. Now, when I was going through it, I felt like I was going to be lower on Casey, but by the time that I was finished with the rankings, Casey ended up in my top 10, and I think he's a really good player. I do. 6'5", 316 pounds. Another guy that I wouldn't be surprised if he gets kicked inside the guard, but grip strength is 10 on 10. He's so strong with his hands, and when he gets contact to your outside shoulders, the rep was seemingly over. He's got incredible upper body strength and overall play strength. He brings some real power. He's got great footwork, great anchor in pass protection. You could talk about, oh, he didn't play top tier competition. I studied him against Oregon, UNLV, some of the Penn State game. This is a guy that played against good rushers and graded out really, really well on the season. The big area that I want to see improve upon is his run blocking ability. I just don't think Cage Casey is this great athlete. I think if you're going to draft him, he might fit better in like a gap rushing scheme because I don't necessarily think he's got top tier athleticism to get out in space and land these big time impact blocks. I just don't really see that with him. But everything else I think is there for him, from the pass protection to the ability to anchor and the hand counters. I thought he was really strong. I just worry I just don't think he's a great top tier athlete, but he's incredibly strong. He's incredibly powerful. And those are the type of offensive linemen that I tend to gravitate towards. So I've got Cage Casey coming in at number 9. Also 10 on 10 name. He makes the all names team. Absolutely. Him and Jennings Dunker are incredible names. At number 8 on my rankings, I've got Blake Miller from Clemson. I was really low on the Clemson tackles last year. Now, full transparency, I'm still very low on their left tackle, Tristan Lee. I've got an undrafted grade on him. But Blake Miller is a guy that I can't deny the upside with this guy. He is phenomenal, and there are some inconsistencies, yes, but he is, if I was ranking the best pure athletes in this class, I think my number 1 tackle, I'm not going to spoil it, I think he's the top tier number 1 guy. After that, it's between Jennings Dunker and Blake Miller. I think they're right there. He is so good on the move in space. He's so quick on his feet, and he does convert some, we don't use this term for offensive linemen often, but he converts some of that speed and lands some powerful blocks in space in the run game. But I think the area that he improved the most was as a pass protector. I thought his feet got better, his hand placement got better this year. Because he is a little bit smaller, I do think it holds him back. He gets beat by power all the time because his anchor is just not very good. He's 315 pounds. He lets defenders work into his chest too often also. I think that was something that I noticed. He's got to get better at kind of utilizing his great length to keep defenders off of him. Once you let defenders get into your chest, they kind of can control the rep a little bit. Miller had a bad tendency of allowing that to happen. I love the traits. I've got a true second round grade on Blake Miller right now because, look, I think the upside and the athleticism is just undeniable, but he's got to get more consistent if he wants to get in that first round conversation, which I do believe he can. Now, before we go on to number 7, I have a borderline first round grade on all 7 of these tackles going forward. So the next 3 are first to second round grades on, and then my top 4 are pure first round grades. So let's go ahead and get into it. At number 7, I've got Caleb Tieran from Northwestern. One of the most pleasant surprises in the class. Now, I'd heard Caleb Tieran in a lot of lists, and I've seen him ranked highly, and I just wasn't really sure what to make of him. He was every bit as good as I was hoping he was going to be. And like I said, I've got a borderline first round grade on him. Kind of weird size, 6'7", 329 pounds. So from that standpoint, I'm all in. He has shorter arms though, and that's going to kind of be a concern. But overall, so much to like about what Caleb Tieran can do. Really good athlete. Gets to the second level, makes plays on the run game that I was overall really impressed by. I thought he had great footwork and pass protection. Like, for a guy with shorter arms, I thought that he had pretty good anchor. I thought he utilized his length better than you would expect for a tackle with shorter arms. He's got really good hand placement. I thought he countered rushers really well. And I thought his blitz recognition and his ability to pick up the blitz was maybe the best in this draft class, but he does have shorter arms. And I do think he gets beat at times as a result. He also has got to play lower to the ground. He played with such high pads sometimes, playing almost vertically, it felt like. If he could play lower, generate some of that natural explosiveness that he does have, I do think that a true first-round talent. We've seen Northwestern produce NFL linemen from Rashawn Slater to Peter Skoronski. Caleb Tieran is in that tier, no pun intended, of being the next first-round lineman from Northwestern. I really like this player, and I've got him at number 7. At number 6 on my list, I've got Xavier Chaplain from Auburn. You guys, I wanted to put him higher so badly because I think Xavier Chaplain, the upside is tackle 1 in this class. I firmly believe that if things start clicking for him, he will be the number 1 tackle in this class. The size, the athleticism, it's all there. Chaplain is a transfer from Virginia Tech. He played 3 seasons for the Hokies, headed to Auburn this year with a team that's got a lot of expectations, and I think they should be really excited about the caliber of tackle that they are getting. One of the best athletes in the class, another one of these just freaks, I guess. 6'7", 338 pounds with incredible run blocking potential. The ability to climb the second level is there. I think he could pull if you need him to do that. He moves his feet really well. I thought that he had quick feet. Overall, I thought his, footwork was solid. And then you obviously talk about the size and length. And I also thought his hand placement and the ability to counter was really good. It's just a lot of inconsistencies. The upside is through the roof with the athleticism and the footwork and the hand placement. Like, you see everything there. Can he piece it all together and become a franchise type of tackle? Right now, he lunges a lot. He has the tall tackle problem of lunging. It happens to the best of them. He's got to improve that. As a run blocker, I thought he was good, but he had a lot of issues of just not being able to connect with defenders coming his way in the run game. Overall, his anchor, not that great. And for a 330-pound offensive lineman, that concerns me. And I thought his blitz recognition could get a little bit better. But overall, I love this player. I love the upside. I've got him at tackle 6. And I do think if he has the type of season that I think he can have for Auburn this year, going to the SEC, this is a guy that could be the number 1 tackle in this year's draft class. So I've got him at number 6, but I love the potential. At number 5, I've got Kaden Proctor. I know this is going to be low for some people. The high-end reps of Kaden Proctor are the best offensive tackle prospect of the last 4 to 5 years. The low ends of Kaden Proctor are borderline undraftable. I don't really know where to rank him in this range, but I've got him at number 5 as a result. 6'7", 360 pounds. One of the freakiest athletes you will ever see on the offensive line. And for a guy that's as big as he is, he moves surprisingly well in the run game. The length is really good, and I thought he showcased a long arm that was really good. Decent hand counters and pass protection. The anchor is decent. He got beat towards the end of the season to more power, which is concerning. And I think that his movement skills are surprisingly good. But the weird thing is, there are concerns about his arm length. Now, I'm not overly concerned about it, but it is something that has come up among NFL scouts that, he doesn't have the longest arms for a 6'7" offensive tackle. Here, I'll just read you my notes verbatim, what I have issues with when it comes to Kaden Proctor. He doesn't play with a ton of power. He has the tall tackle problem of lunging far too often. He plays with high pads. He's heavy on his feet, and he's got poor grip strength. This is a guy that doesn't play with much power. He is a good athlete, but he's got questionable anchor at times. He's got good hand counters, but I think he does overset in pass protection, and he gets beat because of that. I don't really know where to rank him because the upside is astronomically high, but I think there is a very low floor with Kaden Proctor. I've got him at number 5. I'm willing to bet on the traits, but I will say I don't have a true first-round grade on him, and there are a lot of red flags for me, so I've got him at tackle 5. At number 4 on my list, I've got Caleb Lomu out of Utah. The Utah tackles are awesome. We'll get to the other one here in a little bit. Lomu was really impressive. Great hands and pass protection, the athleticism. Both these guys are ridiculous athletes. I thought his footwork was pretty good. He's got good anchor for a 304-pound offensive tackle. I also thought his blitz recognition and the ability to pick up free rushers was really good. He does a lot of busy work, if you will, and is never just staying stagnant. He's always whether it's chipping the inside or picking up the free rusher. Like, I think he's a really smart, high IQ offensive tackle. I do think, yes, he gets beat by quickness at times because he'll overset his feet. The run game was a little bit concerning. Missed in the run game, struggled to consistently connect. I don't think he's a bad run blocker by any means. He's got the athleticism to be a great one. I'm very curious to see what he's going to do there, but he needs to add on more weight. It's that simple. He's 6'6", 304 pounds. If he can get up to 310, 315, it's a top 10 caliber player in this draft class. But right now, I have him at number 4. Like I said, true first-round grade on Lomu, but the upside, I do think, at his current size, is a little limited. At number 3, I've got Francis Mauigoa out of Miami, a guy that has been on my radar since his true freshman season where he started every game for Miami, a big-time recruit, and I really liked him. I've seen some comps to Talisha Fuaga going around for him. I like that comparison a lot, actually, because I think he's a guy that has great power. He's a really good athlete that can work inside and outside. That's very similar to what we were talking about with Talisha Fuaga. His hand placement I also thought was really impressive. Great job of, once he got his hands on the offensive lineman, he just dominated the rep from the get-go. He's got great strength, great power in his game. He's a really good run blocker and an athlete. There were times where, as a pass protector, one of my big concerns, he doesn't get his hands up immediately. He was a little slow to get his hands up, and as a result, he did get beat at times this past season to quickness. Not really sure what that's all about. I'd like to see it get a little bit more consistent. Really, the only concern I have about him, I'm curious what his measurements are going to be lengthwise. Didn't really have long arms for the offensive tackle position. I've seen a lot of people say he should kick into guard. I kind of agree. I think he would be a dominant guard. Now, I still think he's got the upside to be a great tackle. I just think with questionable arm length, he might be lower on some people's boards. But I've got him at number 3. Huge fan of this player, and I think he'll be a top 15 pick in next year's draft. At number 2, Isaiah World from Oregon. Maybe my favorite player in the entire draft so far, any position. I love this player. One of the most fun offensive line tape you are going to watch. Also, some of the most inappropriate, if you know what I'm talking about. But the length, the size at 6'8", 309 pounds, I love it. Elite hand fighting. I mean, his pass protection reps, I thought his ability to just counter rushers was super impressive. He has excellent footwork, moves extremely well. I mean, as a run blocker, he is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal at getting to the second level. He was playing weaker competition coming from Nevada, but I'm not that concerned about it. The length is there. The athleticism is there. The hands are there. I think the footwork is overall there. Could improve his anchor a little bit, but the big area you're concerned about is his penalties. He's had over 30 penalties, I want to say, throughout the last 3 to 4 seasons. That is a major concern. I'm willing to let it go for now. We'll see what it looks like. If he doesn't improve that, then we'll revisit it. But going into the year, I think Isaiah World's one of the most impressive offensive linemen in this class and was my number 1 tackle for a very long time. And then I watched Spencer Fano, and I think Fano is a incredible talent at the offensive tackle position. I did mention earlier that outside of maybe Jennings Dunker, Blake Miller, and who did I throw in there? Who did I put? I said those were the 2 best athletes in the class, I believe. Fano is the best athlete in the draft class. He's a guy that is probably going to run a 4.95 if I had to guess. He is so impressive on the move. The quickness, the ability to just drive guys into the ground, an absolutely incredible power blocker. One of the best outside zone blockers I have ever watched, to be completely honest with you. He's a guy that I think moves his feet incredibly well in pass protection. Yes, he's got questionable anchor, but he still has great footwork. another guy, like the only concern that I really have outside of the anchor, can he add on more weight? Yes, he's got the frame to do it. He's 302 pounds right now. But even if he doesn't, because he's so athletic, because he's so quick, I still think Spencer Fano has the upside to be a starting right tackle at the next level. And I think he's got the athleticism to kick inside. The best run blocking tape I think I have ever watched, up there with, I don't really know who I would put him up there with. I didn't watch Penei Sewell. That was a couple of years before I got into this. I think Spencer Fano is a awesome offensive lineman with the upside to be a top 10 pick in the 2026 NFL draft. But before we close this up, as promised, let's look at some honorable mentions, some guys I think people are going to be asking about in the comment section. Max Ihenachor out of Arizona State. I liked him, just didn't love the athleticism. I've got him at 22. J.C. Davis out of Illinois. I've got him at 29. I'm really disappointed this past season. Footwork I thought was really up and down. Had some struggles against quicker rushers, got grabby, and just not a great athlete. So I think he's a name that people will bring up. Carter Smith from Indiana, I've got at 28, probably a guard at the next level. Same thing with Brian Parker. I've got him at 31. Just didn't love the play strength. And again, he's 300 pounds. If I had to bet on two players that I think could be in this running in the offseason, I'm a big fan of Desmil Lee from Youngstown State. Remember that name. Really great size at 6'7", 325, but an FCS prospect. Just didn't see enough to rank him this high. He's a great pass protector, questionable run blocker. And as also, I would throw in Hunter Zambrano from Texas Tech. Had a good career at Illinois State, transferring to Texas Tech. Maybe a guard at the next level, but a exceptional athlete with good length, I think, to be a good run blocker. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Would love to hear who you think I missed in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.